Front-end actions allow you to create functionality that will run in the front end of your app. For example, you can use front-end actions to create pop-ups, run small calculations, conditionally format data, and so on. In this example, I'm going to create a custom front-end action that is going to collect up user inputs and then display these user inputs in an alert pop-up whenever a user clicks on a button. The final result will look like this. Okay, so back inside Dittofi, let's create a new variable which I'm going to call alert message. I'm going to set the type equal to text and leave the initial value blank. Next, I'm going to add a second input box below the first input box here, and I'm going to use the input box settings to set the placeholder text to say enter a message. And I am then going to bind the input box to the alert message variable that I just created. After this, I'm going to click on the front-end actions button. This will bring up a list of the front-end actions in my app. I'm going to click on the Add New Front-End Action button at the bottom of the page here, and this is going to create a new front-end action. I'm going to rename this new front-end action to Alert User Action. Front-end actions must be triggered by something. This first box here defines what the action trigger is. I can trigger the action when the app loads. On a WebSocket connection, this is used for real-time data, such as when building a messaging system in your app, or when an action takes place on an element. I'm going to make sure that the trigger element is set equal to element. I will choose which element and which user interaction I want to trigger my front-end action at a later stage. After this, I'm going to add a new event to my action. Events are like pre-coded functions that you can chain together to build custom functionality that runs on the front end of your app. For example, there are events for running endpoints, triggering notifications, navigating to new pages, and so on. In my case here, I'm going to add an alert event, which is under the notification options here. This event is going to create an alert pop-up that will display a variable message. To choose which message will be displayed, click on the plus button here and choose the variable alert message, and then click save. Now, when this action runs, it is going to run this alert event, and this alert event is then going to display the contents of this alert message in an alert pop-up on the screen. Click the back button in the top left-hand corner to exit the action, and then click the cross icon here to close the front-end actions panel. The last step in my setup is to associate my new alert user action with an element and an element trigger. I'm going to set this up so that whenever a user clicks on this button element here, this will start the action. To do this, select the button and then go over to this lightning bolt icon on the right-hand side of the page here. Click Add New Front-End Action and set the trigger to onClick, and then choose the action Alert User Action, like so. Now, whenever the selected button element is clicked, this is going to trigger the Alert User Action. To see this running live, I'm going to rebuild the code for my app, and once the code has been rebuilt, I'm going to go over to the live app and hit the refresh button in order to get all the updates that I've made to my app. To test the front-end action, enter some text into this input box and then click the Get Started Now button here. As you can see, this creates an alert pop-up, and the message displayed inside the alert pop-up is the same as the information that we entered into the input box. So, as a quick recap of what we've done here, first I created a variable called alert message. Then I created a new front-end action called alert user action. And then I added an event to this action to display an alert when the action is triggered. Finally, I associated this button here with the alert user action, and I configured this so that whenever this button is clicked on, my alert user action will run. So this is just a first look at front-end actions. There are many more things that you can do with front-end actions to build entirely custom apps and to make your app interactive. In the next lesson, we are going to start looking at the back-end builder and how we can create a database inside of Dittofi.